My name's Michael. I'm 54. I live just outside Portland in a house I used to think of as mine. 5 years ago, I married Carrie. She had a daughter from her first marriage, Jenna. She was 16 when I moved in, already halfway out the door, half grown, half gone. I didn't expect her to call me Dad. I didn't expect trust. But I thought maybe, just maybe, I could build something real. Brick by brick. Sacrifice by sacrifice. I wasn't the loud type. I didn't show up with rules or lectures. I kept my voice even. I kept my expectations lower than my standards. What I did bring to that house was money. Steady, quiet money. Tuition payments, dental work, prescription glasses, new tires for her old Honda. I was the man behind the curtain. Not seen, not celebrated, but necessary. When she needed a laptop junior year, I bought the newest model, fully spec'd. Overnight shipping. When her tablet cracked before finals, I drove through a storm to replace it. No thank you. No text. Just the silence of assumption. The kind that swells when kindness becomes routine. She wanted college prep. SAT tutors, ACT retakes, essay coaching. I wrote the checks. Quietly. When she was waitlisted at Columbia and cried on the porch steps, I sat beside her with cocoa I made myself. She didn't speak to me. Not really. But I was there. Every college tour, and there were many, I drove. 6 hours to Seattle. 8 to Berkeley. One time we left at 4 a.m. just to make it to a morning orientation. She played music through the drive. Never asked if I liked it. I never said a word. Her real father was a shadow. Greg. He lived 2 states away. Showed up once or twice a year with movie tickets and cash in birthday cards. He was the fun one. The harmless satellite that didn't impose gravity. Carrie rarely mentioned him. When she did, her voice was stiff. I never asked questions. I figured my place would define itself with time. That if I showed up, day after day, through holidays, broken furnaces, flat tires, and the rest, the respect would come. Or at least the acknowledgement. Then one Tuesday, at work, a coworker pulled me aside. He looked uncomfortable, like he was about to hand me a death notice. "Hey man," he said, lowering his voice. "I think you should know. My son was at a party this weekend. Jenna was there too." I nodded, already uneasy. "She told some kids you were just her mom's puppet. Said you do whatever Carrie wants." Then she laughed and said she already upgraded to a real dad. He waited for me to react. I didn't. I just nodded again and walked away. But something in me broke. Not loudly. Not all at once. Like rot beneath woodgrain. Silent, spreading, irreversible. Puppet. I replayed that word in my head for days. Puppet. Not partner. Not stepfather. Not Michael. She didn't see me as a person. Just a mechanism. A tool. A way to keep the lights on and the tires rotated. I tried to rationalize it. Teenagers say cruel things. They posture, they lie to impress their friends. Maybe it was a joke. Maybe it didn't mean what it sounded like. But lies only hurt when they hold a shard of truth. And this one cut deep because I had seen the signs. I just didn't want to believe them. It was Carrie's silence, too. Her absence when Jenna dismissed me. Her way of smoothing over disrespect like spilled water. "She didn't mean it," she'd say. Or, "She's just stressed. College applications and all that." But it wasn't just stress. It was contempt. And then came the final twist. A quiet humiliation buried in red tape. Jenna had been accepted to a prestigious university prep conference on the East Coast. A competitive, invite-only event. The kind of thing that fast-tracks students into Ivy League circles. She was thrilled. Carrie was thrilled. We celebrated. I paid the $3,000 deposit without hesitation. A week later, I got a call from the event organizer. Routine paperwork, they said. Just confirming logistics with Jenna's primary guardian. "You mean her mother?" I asked. "No," the woman replied. "Greg. He's been listed on all forms. Says he's handling travel and arrangements." I was stunned. "I paid for it." She hesitated. "Oh, your name's listed under sponsor. It's at the bottom." Sponsor. Not stepfather. Not guardian. Not even emergency contact. Just the wallet. I logged into the parent portal. Sure enough, Greg's name was on every field that mattered. He had emailed the coordinator with questions, booked her hotel, called her daughter in every signature. There were no traces of me, not even in the CC lines. When I asked Carrie, she looked confused. Oh, I thought Jenna was just trying to make things smoother with Greg. He wanted to feel included. Included, I repeated. She shrugged. It's not a big deal, but it was. It was the clearest message yet. I wasn't a father figure. I was an invisible asset, a background fixture, a bank account with a beard. I went to the garage that night and just stood there for an hour, staring at the oil stains on the concrete, the smell of paint thinner and dust. It was the only place in the house that still felt mine. When I came back inside, Jenna was laughing in the kitchen. Greg was on speakerphone, talking about her flight itinerary. We'll grab dinner when you land, kiddo. Just you and me. She beamed. Carrie smiled. I stood in the doorway, unnoticed. The realization came quiet and heavy. I was no one to her. Not a parent. Not a partner. Not even a presence. Just a puppet moving to strings someone else had tied. And the worst part? I had pulled those strings myself. I didn't scream. I didn't stomp. I didn't even raise my voice. Instead, I went upstairs, sat on the edge of the bed Carrie and I shared, and stared at my laptop screen like it was a confession booth. The bank accounts were all linked. The education savings account I opened the year after I married Carrie, the auto payments for Jenna's prep expenses, the travel booking logins, the monthly transfers to her custodial debit card. All neatly organized, labeled, traced, all quietly bleeding me. I opened the university conference page. The next installment of the fee was due in 4 days. Greg was listed as her emergency contact and primary guardian on every single line. My name? Tucked beneath other sponsor. No phone number. No input. No authority. Just the man who signed the check. I opened my calendar, marked with Jenna's itinerary, departure times, hotel confirmation numbers, and even meal suggestions Carrie had emailed me to prep for Jenna's travel day. I deleted them, every last one, one click at a time. Then I opened the conference payment portal. My bank was still linked, ready to pay another $2,700 in 4 days. I clicked Remove Payment Method, and it was done. Then I opened the student loan application Jenna had sent me to co-sign. I never told her, but I had been approved. The money would have covered her next semester plus her dorm meal plan. I clicked Decline Offer. It warned me, this action cannot be reversed. I clicked Yes. Then I logged into her flight booking, where I had used my airline points to reserve her round trip. I canceled the reservation. Points refunded. No cost to me, just clarity. I unlinked my name from her rental insurance. Deleted myself as her emergency medical contact. Closed the shared Dropbox folder where I'd stored her school documents. Then I wrote the email. To admissions office/conference director. Subject: Change of financial responsibility. Body: effective immediately. I, Michael last name, am no longer financially responsible for Jenna, last name. Any and all inquiries, obligations, or arrangements should be redirected to her legal guardian, Greg last name, listed as her primary contact. Attached: replacement cost breakdown, 2019 present. And I meant that last part. I opened a spreadsheet I had kept over the years. Not out of bitterness, at the time I thought I was being responsible. Budgeting. Planning. But now it felt like evidence. $1,400 for SAT prep. $700 in college tours, gas and hotels. $3,000 conference deposit. $2,600 laptop plus repairs. $1,800 tutoring sessions. $5,400 in debit card deposits. $9,200 in school contributions. $750 orthodontics out of pocket. $430 violin repairs. $11,000 paid toward student housing. Total, $36,280. 42. I didn't round up. I didn't exaggerate. I just attached the file. Cold. Precise. Documented. Then I hit send. And just like that, I cut the strings. No warning. No conversation. No announcement. Carrie found out 2 days later when Jenna called her sobbing. She said the flight's gone. Jenna wailed through the speaker. And the conference says I'm dropped from the roster. They reassigned my dorm room. Mom. They reassigned my spot. I don't understand. I was in the kitchen making coffee. Carrie looked at me with panic, her voice sharp, cutting across the room. Michael, what the hell did you do? I stirred my mug. Calm. Controlled. I removed myself. What does that even mean? She snapped, standing now, phone trembling in her hand. It means, I said, that if Greg is the father, then he can handle the father's bills. She looked stricken, eyes wide. Jesus, Michael. You just ruined her future over a comment she made at a party? No, I said. I ruined nothing. I just stopped paying for someone who decided I'm not worth acknowledging. That night, Seth, Jenna's boyfriend, texted me. You pathetic old bastard. You just nuked her life. Congrats. Hope your ego was worth it. I didn't reply. I forwarded it to Greg. Greg called an hour later. Tried to keep his voice neutral. Failed. Look, man. Jenna said something stupid. She's a teenager. You know how it is. Don't punish her for being dumb. She made her choice, I said. He sighed. Okay, I get it. You're hurt. But come on. This is a little extreme, don't you think? I didn't flinch. You wanted to be the real father, Greg. Real fathers pay real bills. Step up. He didn't have a response. Just a strained chuckle. I mean, I wasn't expecting. I cut him off. Neither was I. Carrie wouldn't speak to me for a day. Then 2. Then she cornered me in the bedroom. You really think this is fair? To drop this on her now, days before the trip? I didn't drop anything. I just stopped holding it up. She's 17, Michael. Exactly. Carrie's face twisted. You're punishing her for being a kid. No, I said. I'm holding her accountable for treating me like nothing while building her entire future on my back. We didn't sleep in the same bed that night. 3 days later, I saw a Facebook post. People who use love as leverage don't understand what love actually means. The caption was vague. The comments were not. You okay, babe? WTF is wrong with people? You don't need anyone who treats you like that. I read it. Twice. Then I closed the app. That evening, I cleaned out the garage. Threw away 3 old bins of her middle school stuff I'd been storing. Markers, trophies, notebooks, things she'd outgrown, and now, so had I stopped waiting at the dinner table. I cooked only for myself. I said nothing when Carrie tried to apologize for Jenna's phase. Nothing when she told me it would blow over. Didn't. Greg scraped together about $1,500. Seth's parents pitched in $900 more. Still short. The organizers removed her from the conference. Her flight credits expired. Her dorm bed went to someone on the wait list. She was cut. 3 weeks later, a letter came in the mail. No stamp. Hand-delivered. The handwriting was familiar. Dad, I said something stupid. I was trying to look cool in front of friends. I wanted them to think I had this ideal blended family. I didn't mean it, but I said it, and I can't take it back. I wanted to make Greg feel important, and in doing that, I made you invisible. That's the worst thing I've ever done. You were the one who drove the miles, paid the bills, showed up when no one else did, and I called you a puppet. I'm sorry. I don't know if you'll forgive me. I don't know if I deserve that, but I wanted you to hear it from me. No Mom. No Greg. Just me. Jenna. I read it twice. I didn't cry, but something in my chest. Something that had hardened into stone, loosened, not gone, not healed, but cracked. I placed the letter in my desk drawer, beneath the spreadsheet. Both were truths, and for the first time in months I slept. Greg tried to be the hero. He tried for 3 days. Calls, emails, desperate pleas to organizers who'd already reassigned Jenna's conference slot. He even emailed me directly once. Subject: urgent. Message: is there any way you can reinstate the payments? Jenna's really hurting. I know you're angry, but don't take it out on her future. I'll pay you back. Promise. I didn't respond, because there was no reinstating what she burned. Carrie got quieter. Not apologetic, just smaller. The woman who used to fill silence with solutions started letting it stretch. I think she finally saw it. That my silence wasn't punishment. It was exhaustion. Jenna, for her part, didn't lash out again. She didn't send more letters. No more online swipes. No more indirect posts. She simply disappeared into herself. Canceled plans to transfer schools. Took a part-time job. The girl who used to ask for a new dress for every event now checked sales racks. She didn't speak to me until mid-July. She found me on the porch, right after sunset. Sky turning the same bruised purple as the day I learned what she said about me. I didn't look at her, just sipped my beer and waited. I wanted to go to that conference, she said. I nodded once. And I know I wrecked that. I know what I said was worse than stupid. Still, I said nothing. I thought it was just words. I didn't think it mattered if I called someone dad or not. I thought actions spoke louder. But turns out words can wreck things too. She sat down in the chair across from me. Worn wicker. Same one I patched twice. I canceled the transfer, she added. I'm staying local, taking extra classes to make up for the lost credit. Got a job at the campus bookstore. I turned to her. Your mom? No. She doesn't want me to stay. She wants me to reapply next year. But I don't want another gift I didn't earn. I watched her for a long moment, then said, what changed? She looked away. You did. I had changed. Not her. Not Carrie. Me. That realization sat hard in my chest. Like stepping outside in winter and realizing the cold doesn't sting anymore. Not because it got warmer, but because you went numb. You stopped orbiting us, she said. You used to revolve around this house. Around me. Around everything. Then you just stepped back. And I saw how much you'd been holding up. Her voice was steady. No tears. No trembling. That shook me more than if she'd cried. I don't want you to pay for anything anymore, she said. I want to earn it. And I want to make things right. It wasn't a request. It wasn't even a plea. It was a confession. And for the first time it felt like she was speaking to me, not through me. That night, I opened my drawer, pulled out her letter. Read it again slower. Every word written in pen. No crossed out lines. No emojis. Just black ink and weight. I placed it beside the cost breakdown. 2 documents. One told the history. The other told the apology. Side by side, they didn't cancel each other out. But they balanced. August came. Jenna moved into a studio. No help. Not from me, not from Greg. She furnished it with mismatched Craigslist finds and hand-me-downs. I offered to lend her my old drill, just the drill, not the labor. She accepted. She pays her own phone bill now. Works weekends. Sometimes forgets to reply to texts. But when she does, she addresses me by name. Not Michael. Not Mom's husband. Dad. Only when it counts. Never thrown around casually. Like a title she knows she has to protect. Carrie took longer to adjust. She resented the shift. Said I had scared Jenna into obedience. Said I'd held the family hostage to prove a point. I said nothing. Because some truths don't need defense. They just need time. The household changed. Not dramatically. No movie montage of healing. No Sunday dinners where we all laugh again. But there was breathing room. Space that used to be filled with unspoken resentment was now open air. Jenna still visits. Not out of obligation. Not to impress anyone. She comes because she wants to. Last week, she brought coffee to my job. Just walked in and placed it on my desk. Said nothing. Just smiled and left. The cup had a note. Thought you might need this. Thanks for not giving up even when I did. It wasn't grand. It wasn't sweeping. But it was more than I ever expected. Carrie asked once, during one of our quieter mornings, do you think she really changed? Or is she just scared to lose more? I thought about it for a long time before answering. Does it matter? I said. Either way, she finally looked around and realized who had been holding the foundation. That's more than most ever do. Carrie nodded. She didn't press. I think part of her knew she had a part in it too. Not direct. But complicity is never loud. It's made of silences, glances, and looking away when words cut. I don't blame her anymore. Not fully. But I also don't forget. Because forgetting is how it all started. The family is not whole. It never was. I stopped trying to force it into a picture frame that never fit. I stopped chasing titles, stopped counting sacrifices. Now I just count actions. Who shows up? Who pays? Who remembers? And Jenna? She remembers now. The costs, the silence, the severance. But more importantly, she remembers who stayed. And maybe that's what fatherhood really is. Not biology, not ceremony, but presence. Even after you've been erased. Even after they called you puppet. Even after they chose someone else. You stay long enough for the truth to rot the lies. And when they finally look up from the wreckage, they see the man still standing. Not because he was invited, not because he was welcomed, but because that's what real fathers do. They endure. Until there's nothing left to prove. We met by the Columbia River. Same coffee shop we used to stop at on the way home from college visits. Same chip table in the back. Same awkward silence at the start. But this time, she broke it first. I've been thinking about that word. I raised an eyebrow. She didn't have to say it. I knew which word. Puppet, she said. I meant it as a joke. I thought it was clever. I thought if I said it with enough sarcasm, it wouldn't mean anything. But it did, I said. She nodded. I told my friends I had this perfect blended family. Mom who understood me. Greg who didn't ask questions. And then you, the guy who always came through no matter what. I thought that sounded impressive. Like I had options. Support. A safety net. Her hands wrapped tight around her paper cup. But the truth was, I didn't respect any of it. I expected it. Like gravity. Like the sun rising. I thought I could pick and choose what parts of a father I wanted, and discard the rest. I let her speak. I've been working at the bookstore 6 weeks now. My boss is 24. She lives in a trailer with 2 dogs and still makes every shift. She talks about paying rent like it's a war. Every time I tap my debit card, I think about how that money isn't yours anymore. It's mine. Mine to earn. Mine to lose. She looked up at me, eyes calm. No makeup. No performance. I think that's when I started calling you Dad again. In my head at first. Quietly. Like a test drive. I didn't smile. I just nodded once. The air between us held everything else. She reached into her bag, pulled out a folded sheet of paper, handed it to me. Don't worry. It's not another letter. Just numbers. I unfolded it. A budget. Rent, utilities, gas. She said. I figured it out myself. I'm behind by like $80, but I think I'll make it up next week. It wasn't a request. It wasn't bait for a bailout. It was proof. Greg stopped calling, she added. After the conference thing, I think he realized I wasn't going to fight for his attention. Or maybe he just didn't want to deal with me when I wasn't bragging about him to my friends. You sound disappointed. No, she said. Just clear. We sat there a while longer. Talked about nothing. Coffee. The weather. A dog that passed by the window. Small things. Safe things. But inside that quiet, something finally started to mend. She left first. Hugged me, not long, not dramatic. Just enough. You're my father, she said. And I want to make it right. We didn't fix everything that day. But we stopped pretending things hadn't broken. That's what mattered. She texts me now. Not often. But enough. Updates about work. Photos of her tiny apartment. A cat she found on the porch but didn't take in. Once, she asked if I remembered the chili I used to make when she was sick. I sent her the recipe. She said it tasted like the past, the good kind. Carrie and I? We still live in the same house. But something between us changed after that summer. Not explosive. Just colder. She never apologized for letting Jenna disrespect me. never owned the silence that echoed louder than the insult itself. We still speak, still eat dinner, still share chores, but she no longer asks me to step in. No more, "Can you cover this?" Or, "Jenna needs help with that." She knows now, if she wants something from me, she has to ask directly. No more assumptions. No more puppet strings. The boys at her office think we're the perfect older couple. Neighbors wave like we're still holding hands behind the front door. But inside, we're coexisting, not healing, just enduring. That's the quiet truth about sacrifice. If it's not seen, if it's not respected, it curdles. And I've spent enough years rotting in invisible effort. Sometimes I ask myself, did I overreact? Was pulling the plug the right move? Could I have been gentler? But then I look at Jenna's new life. The job, the budgeting, the slow, painful climb to independence. And I realize something. If I had stayed silent, if I had swallowed one more insult for the sake of peace, she never would have changed. She would have taken everything and learned nothing, because love without limits becomes servitude, and fathers without respect become ghosts. I wasn't her ghost. I was the man who paid, the man who showed up, the man who said, "Enough." That's the part no one sees. That boundary wasn't revenge. It wasn't anger. It was love. The hard kind. The kind that teaches you by vanishing. I still keep her old letter in my drawer. Still glance at the cost spreadsheet sometimes. Not to remind myself what I lost, but to remember what I gave. Freely. Without demand. Until I was told it meant nothing. The puppet they called me? He's gone now. What remains is a man who built a foundation. Who didn't demand applause, only acknowledgement. And eventually, years too late, he got it. But here's the final question I ask myself, and now I ask you, was I wrong? Was I wrong to cut the strings? To let the fire spread? To force them all to watch the walls collapse before they could see who was holding them up? Or was it the only way? The only way for them to stop mistaking obligation for love, and finally understand what real fatherhood costs? You tell me, would you have endured it? Or would you have let go?